I've made a Mistweaver monk since the end of Legion, and I've always played it as a semi-ranged caster instead of a fist-weaving melee healer. Up until now, this was a low-intensity playstyle dominated by massive group healing through upwelling and refreshing Jade Wind, where optimization was all about timing and mana management. Even though fist-weaving is looking more accessible with the new talent trees, I'm planning on sticking with the caster playstyle with a focus on raw healing, and this is my reasoning. As far as rating goes, I usually get a third or halfway through Mythic by the end of each tier, and at that pace, the things holding us back aren't gear or damage or even healing, but avoidable deaths and mishandled fight mechanics. So that leaves a lot of room for me to play however I'm most comfortable. Mythic Plus is a different story, where I feel a bit of pressure to DPS, even if it's just spamming Crane Kick during downtime on trash. But even then, and I've been running keys up to the low 20s since BFA, it's been my experience that timing keys is less about optimizing DPS and dungeon routes, and more about interrupts, kill orders, and just not having players dying early, avoidably, or constantly. All this is to say, I know myself as a player, and I know I perform better playing a non-meta build comfortably than a superior build that I'm no good at. With legendaries and conduits covering a few major talents and capstones, the build I'm running during pre-patch is actually pretty close to my max level Dragonflight build, minus things like Secret Infusion and Invoker's Delight. In a ranged healing build, I'd say we've got the best of our powers from both BFA and Shadowlands without much sacrifice, and I consider that a huge win. We get tons of control over our major healing cooldowns through talents like Uplifted Spirits, Jade Bond, and Font of Life, while at the same time we gain access to Secret Infusion, Invoker's Delight, and Bone Dust Brew to amp up our healing windows. Add the fact that we get both Spirit of the Crane and Mana Tea, and you got yourself a much more flexible version of this playstyle. It's not all positive though. They did nerf Refreshing Jade Wind just before the pre-patch, changing it from a 9-second cooldown with a 9-second duration to a 45-second cooldown with a 15-second duration. Once you factor in you'll be holding it for precise healing windows, that's even less uptime. Not to mention there's just not a lot of windows that are going to last the full 15 seconds. All things considered, this redesign of Jade Wind is just a sledgehammer of a nerf, and it makes the spell feel unwieldy and wasteful, considering how dominant it was before. However, with Jade Wind being such a small part of our rotation going forward, that opens up room for spells like Vivify to take its place. Assuming it can be done without too much overhealing, I'm planning to go back to my late BFA playstyle where I cast Vivify as much as humanly possible to reduce the cooldown on Revival and Yu'lon, all while carefully managing my mana. This has been working for me pretty well during the pre-patch, but once we're in Dragonflight and no longer sitting at a 50% crit baseline, I'm guessing it'll take a bit more effort to make things line up the way I want them to. I'm sure there will be room for optimization through Rapid Diffusion. That's the talent that spawns a 6-second Renewing Mist every time you Rising Sun Kick or Enveloping Mist. But overall I think this playstyle just became a lot higher intensity, and I'll have to see how that does. So that's my interpretation of how ranged Mistweaving moves forward. If you're not a fan of this playstyle or disagree with some of the things I've said, let me know. I know there's a lot of strong opinions in the Mistweaver community about how we should be, whether it's the purists arguing we should be forced back to our hybrid roots, the absolutists arguing that developer time is best spent gutting one playstyle and focusing completely on the other, or a desperate few who still want Soothing Mist to be great again. Either way, I'd love to hear what you think, and unless they do something massive to ruin this caster playstyle, this is what I'm sticking with for Dragonflight. Until next time, thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.